Yo, what's good, y'all? It is your boy Heart of the Cards, and I am here today with my updated branded profile. I cut it down to like 42 cards since the last profile. Also, took out all the Draco Tail stuff. If that was the last video you have seen from me, this is the last updated pure branded profile before the new support comes out in Burst Protocol. We are so excited for that. Branded is going to take over this year. We're going to be number one. Yeah, and let's get to it. Let's go. All right, so starting out, we have the three Fall of Albaz. I recommend playing three. You can play two, but three is just more optimal for me, just in case I have to go second. And you can always side out one, but two minimum. And next, we have the two Aluber. I've thought about playing three. I've tested it, but cutting it down to two was probably the best decision because I was always having more than one of these in my hand every time I played three. It was like six times, seven times out of 10, I would have at least two of these in my hand because I played three. So cutting it down to two definitely helped me with the consistency. We have a lot of starters in this deck, so we don't have to necessarily depend on this as a starter anymore. And especially with the new support that's coming out, we won't be seeing this card as much. You know what I'm saying? Then we got the two Quim. Quim is a great starter for the deck. It is our hand trap bait. It gets you your combos and it lets you play through Droll, which is a big thing with this deck. Droll doesn't kill the deck, but let's say if you get ashed and androlled and stuff like that, multiple hand traps, you know what I'm saying? If you end on Quim and you're able to, get this effect off during the end phase, then you're pretty set up for the following turn. So this deck is pretty grindy. It gets you to, whatever you need, you know what I'm saying? So we don't have to necessarily play a lot of cards like I was playing 60, but then I cut it down. It's still just as efficient. I still can, reuse all my cards. It has great recursion. It has great grind game support. The next we have the double Cartesia. If anything, I kind of want to up this card to three. It's a pretty good card. I'm not gonna lie to you because as long as I'm able to get Granguinol, the fusion monster, however you say his name, however you say it, but it's just like as long as I'm able to get to him, I can do a lot of my plays because off of him I can send my Albion to the grave. I can also send my Titaniclad to the grave and then set up more plays for the following turn. So this card is very important. Next, Next, we have our Albion the Shrouded. I cut that down to one. Springen's Kit. Then we have our new card in the deck, Ecclesia. He wasn't in the last build. We got the one Mercurier still. I still play the one Tragedy and one Ido. Ido, he does come up still. There are times where I have to use him. It's not necessary for a dub, but he's pretty great in terms of like being an asshole low key. He's pretty great, just stopping your opponents from playing. So I say just having him in your back pocket as an option is really good. Is really really good. I cut Albion down to one just because he's searchable. Also, he bridges off of High Spirits. It's a good one-card starter. Most of the time now, I'm testing going second instead of first. So he still comes up a lot. A lot of one-ups come up a lot. So I do see these cards quite often. Then we have our Bestial package, which is the one Lubellion and the one Saronir. Y'all, I cut my deck count down, so I definitely cut out all the other Bestials, just so I can be as efficient as I want to be. I don't necessarily want to depend on like hand traps because Bestials are necessarily hand traps. I'm going for more of a board breaker approach. So going first and going second, seeing these cards are, it really comes in handy, just having them at one. I see them all the time. We have the double Branded Fusion. Of course, you got to play two. Don't play one. Don't be a bum. They're gonna, they're gonna release the third one soon. They're gonna release it from his shackles. And, I'm praying. And then we have the two Branded Opening. You can play this one at three. Playing it at two is a really good extension as well. So it's really just up to your personal preference whether or not you would play Branded Opening at two or three. Then we have the triple Fallen and the Virtuous. So yeah, this card is definitely a three of in the deck, I would say, especially if you're playing pure. Now, if you're not playing pure, you can get away with two, but definitely three. And because we play the one Ecclesia, its second effect does come up pretty often to special summon a card from from either graveyard, which is really cool. It's a really good quick effect as well. It stops a lot of synchro decks. It stops a lot of, link decks from, summoning from the grave. It's like a ghost bell essentially, but you're not stopping them. Well, yeah, you are stopping them from summoning from the graveyard. Essentially because you're just summoning it to your field instead, which is pretty cool. So it's like a ghost spell in a sense. Then we have the one branded in red and the one branded in high spirits. High spirits, I cut that down. I cut out the branded in white as well because like I said, I wanted to get to my combos as efficiently as possible. And I don't need to have a huge cloggy deck that dies to Ash or, dies to Imperm or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So we just got to keep that in mind. Next, the other spells we have are the Triple Tactics Thrust. We got 3 of them. Then we have the Double Fusion Deployment. It's really good. These guys, I cut this down to 2. This card still comes up a lot. Cartesia, we have that card in our deck at 2, so this is like 4 copies of Cartesia. We mainly use this to summon Cartesia. Like, you can use it to summon Albaz, but there's so many ways to summon Albaz that it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Then we have the 1 talent and the 1 called by the grave. Each one of in the deck, very useful. I would say it's necessary to play. You play the call by to get rid of the Drolls. You play them to, well, you don't really need to use it to get rid of Droll. You mainly need it for Ash. So scratch what I said. You need this for Ash. And then moving on to our traps, we have the 1 Retribution and the 1 Duplication. Now these, it's debatable if you want to put Duplication in your main deck. I see people put it in the side deck. I play 1 in the main at least, just in case I go first. It comes up a lot, honestly, and it comes in handy, bro. Your opponent stops you. You can thrust, look into Duplication, set it, boom, and then you can just set up for their turn. You know what I'm saying? Still get those plays off and still get a pretty decent board on your opponent's turn. Now, we don't play many hand traps in this deck. The only ones that we play are the Fulos starting off. And then I also play board breakers as well. So we do the 3 droplets. All right, so that is all for the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck and the side deck. All right, for the extra deck, we have the double Albion. I mean, if you don't have, all the cards that are like pretty costly, I would say, in the extra deck, I would say maybe upping him to 3 would be pretty cool. I have double Mirror Jade, then I got the 1 Lubellion, 1 Titaniclad, I got the 1 Devours, 1 Renbrum, 1 Albion. We got the double Gregonol. I play that at 2 just because sometimes I have to bridge off of high spirits with a Cartesia. Sometimes I have to do that. So in order to do that, I need another spellcaster in the extra deck that is 2,500 attack. And that meets the criteria to do so. So yeah, that comes up. And then we also have the 1 Quartus, 1 Proskinian, the 1 Chaos Star Source Dragon, and the 1 Light and Darkness Dragon Lord. Now, if you guys play the Savage Dragon, that's a pretty good option as well. But yeah, this is our extra deck. It's pretty solid. We do side in 2 other extra deck cards, which I will get to in a second in our side deck. All right, getting to this side deck profile, we got the 3 Super Poly. We got the 2 Nib. We play double Molcharmy Perulia on the side. Then we got the 1 Meows. Usually because I have the Fuelos and the Perulia already, sometimes I'll just side in one Nib and then put in the Meows, and that just be enough. Then I got the 2 Droll and Lockbird. Like I said, usually I'll just draw into the hand traps that I side in because I play the Molcharmy card. So sometimes I'll just side in 1 Droll. It'll be 1 Nib, you know what I'm saying? And then 1 Raigeki for that same reason, because I could draw into it. Also, I can search it off of Thrust. Then we got the Etude, and then we got the Fusion Duplication, and then we side in the Mud Dragon and the Garura for our Super Poly package. And then I want to talk about Etude. Etude is so good, y'all. Bro, Etude stops your opponent from, like if you're going against Dracotel, this is a very good card. It basically stops your opponent from playing because any card that they fuse with is banished instead. It's also good against synchro decks. It's also good against link-based decks. Any card that they use to synchro or link off with will be banished because you control a Bestial card. Most of the time on our inboards, we do have Bestial Lubellion on our inboard, so that comes up very often. All right, thank you guys for tuning in today. That is it for our branded deck profile. All right, y'all, I will be back with an updated branded profile as soon as I get that brand. All right, thank you guys for staying tuned. I will be back with another branded profile when I get that burst protocol stuff. You guys are in for a treat. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Deuces. Shout out Team Execution, y'all.